Demonizing spiritual practices was a way to not only invoke fear, but to keep practices from being passed down from generation to generation. There are many practices that our great grandmothers and grandmothers did, or even aunts or uncles may have actually practiced, that we have no idea why they were practicing those, but we may have gotten, like, if we were lucky, some people may have actually gotten a brief description of, you don't do that because of this, or you just don't do that. But what I've noticed is, and there's different types of, like, other practices, like, secret groups and stuff like that, where they actually perform rituals and ceremonies that have been around since ancient times. They may hold different artifacts from different groups, tribal groups, and different places where they understand the power of that ritual, ceremony, or initiation and worship. And because it has been, spiritual practices have been demonized within the Western world, a lot of people either do it in secrecy or they won't do it at all. Or if the fear was something that was invoked deep enough into the generational line, it won't even be spoken of. And the problem is, when you don't speak of something, when things start to happen, when gifts come online, when people are aware of things, you will either shut those things down and act as though they don't exist, and you'll put those your children or grandchildren at a disadvantage, because they will be experiencing things even though you're denying it. So it makes them have to figure it out alone, or to have to go and speak to somebody like their friends or something like that, who may speculate, or may only pull things from, like, certain books if they're allowed. And it creates this thing where they're alone figuring it out, when someone who is their ancestor that's alive can literally shed some light for them and educate them to help them better navigate the things that they're facing, which means that people would have to be honest. And so when you build a society that is based on secrets and telling things lies, or not telling the whole truth, or making things seem as though they're one thing when they're truly something else, you create something that can't be trusted. So when you don't teach your children, your grandchildren, when you don't teach your ancestors that are alive about things, about what you're experiencing, and things, the work that you do and how you do it and why you do it, what your practice is, when you don't teach them, they have to figure it out for themselves. And most of the time, when someone figures it out for themselves, they tend to make more mistakes and become more discouraged because they're not making the right decisions. And then they also aren't trained ahead of time how to connect with spirit so that they can be spiritually guided. Teaching them from a place of religion, you have them holding on to fear of not disappointing their religious family. And it doesn't mean that they no longer see. It just means that see or hear, or aware of things around them. It just means that now they're not sure how to combat it, and they will normally work at it from a place of praying and just asking for assistance, versus actually doing more work, as to actually protect themselves. Because within religious systems, you can say a prayer of protection, but how do you know how often to do it? And how do you know, even within Catholicism, you will go to, you may go to do confession, and they may tell you to do the rosary. You may tell them that you're having issues with some type of spirit, and they'll tell you what to do. Within other practices, other religious practices, when you tell them that you've, like, experienced some kind of spirit that is not, you've seen a spirit, they immediately want to exercise you, or they're looking at, you ask you different questions about your practices so that they can say that you're possessed, or that you need some type of healing, or maybe you need to be baptized, when in actuality you for yourself need to know how to confront the spirits that you're, or entities, or species that you're actually running into, because those who understand the shadow and the duality aspect, those who have been around and following ancient practices for a while, those who have been having secret societies and different things like that, they actually train their lineage, their children, their grandchildren. They understand that there's a way. It doesn't mean that all of them are on board, or that they do it with the same sacredness as the elders, but they are made aware of it. And that awareness saves their life.